All right, let's dive into something that I think is really exciting, and that is open banking. You
Yeah.
might have heard this term floating around out there, but
Hmm.
it really boils down to you getting more control over your financial data.
Right.
And we are looking today at the CFPB's final rule on consumer financial data rights.
Yeah.
And we're going to pull out all the need-to-know info, especially the parts that are going to really directly impact you.
It's interesting how much this levels the playing field.
Yeah.
Before it was the banks and the institutions that sort of had all the power.
Hmm.
And this really shifts the power dynamic. It
Yeah,
gives more power to consumers.
I like that.
Yeah.
So, if you're talking, like everyday banking, this rule covers checking accounts, savings accounts, credit cards,
Hmm.
all of that is included.
Right.
And even things like digital wallets.
Oh, yeah.
So if you use something like, Apple Pay or Venmo,
Hmm.
this applies to you.
Yeah, absolutely. Broad scope covers just about all the things that people use every day.
Yeah.
But the CFPB also thought about, how hard this is going to be for smaller institutions to implement.
Okay.
So there's kind of a phased rollout.
Yeah.
Larger institutions will have to comply first, like in 2026, and smaller ones get more time.
Okay. So change is coming, but it's coming in a measured way.
Hmm.
Uh, but I want to focus on what this means for you.
Okay.
What are your rights when it comes to your data?
Right.
Not only do you have the right to access it,
Hmm.
but it has to be provided to you electronically in a way that you can actually use.
Hmm.
Like, it's got to be in a usable format.
Yeah, make your data work for you.
Yeah.
And it outlines 6 types of data that have to be available.
Okay.
And this isn't like vague.
Yeah.
It's very specific.
Yeah, 6 categories. Okay, break those down for me.
Okay, first up,
This is where it gets interesting.
transaction information.
Oh, yeah, okay.
We're not talking just basic stuff. This is rewards, credits, fees, pending transactions.
I like it.
You get like a high definition picture of your money
Yeah.
going in and out.
Yeah, and it's not just, like one specific time, right? Like
Yeah.
it covers a range of time.
At least 24 months
Okay.
of transaction history.
Wow.
This is huge for budgeting,
Mm-hmm.
financial planning.
Yeah,
Imagine seeing 2 years
that's a game changer.
of spending patterns.
Yeah.
It's a big deal.
All right, what's next?
Account balance information,
Okay.
pretty straightforward,
Mm-hmm.
but essential.
Yeah,
You need to know where you stand to make any decisions.
makes sense.
Those first 2 are about transparency,
Right.
making sure you have those basics.
Yeah.
But it gets more powerful.
Okay.
The next category is payment initiation information.
Okay,
This is where it gets cool.
this is the really cool stuff.
Yeah, okay.
This is what's going to make paying bills and sending money easier,
Right.
more direct. Okay.
Imagine paying a bill directly from your bank account
Yeah.
without having to go through like a third-party app.
Yeah, yeah.
This is going to streamline everything.
Okay.
And they do this through what's called a tokenized account number.
Okay.
And it's basically a secure stand-in for your actual account number.
Okay.
So it balances that security and fostering competition in the payment space.
So more convenient and more secure.
Yep.
Okay, I like it. What else we got?
Terms and conditions.
Okay.
No more digging through fine print.
Oh, good.
You get easy access to all those agreements.
Mm-hmm.
Quickly pull up your fee schedule,
Yeah.
interest rate, credit limit.
Yeah.
Even if you've opted into overdraft coverage,
Okay.
having that info readily available
Mhm.
makes you so much more empowered.
Yeah. It's about putting you back in control, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, next is upcoming bill information.
Oh, okay.
So no more surprise late fees.
All right.
You can see what's coming, whether it's to a third party or the data provider itself.
It's about staying on top of things.
Yeah.
Okay, love it. And finally,
Finally, basic account verification information.
okay.
This is stuff like your name,
Right.
your address, email, phone number.
Yeah, yeah.
Simple but important
Ugh.
for security and convenience.
So we've got transaction info, account balances, payment initiation info, terms and conditions, upcoming bills, basic account verification. Huge.
A lot.
Yeah, that is a lot. Is there anything that is not included in all this?
Oh, that's a great question. One key exclusion is the algorithms used for things like credit scoring.
Oh, okay.
So the secret sauce of your credit score.
Okay.
Those formulas are staying under wraps for now.
Okay.
It's about balancing transparency and protecting intellectual property.
So you get a lot, but not everything.
Mm-hmm.
Makes sense. So now the big question. How do you get all this information?
That's where it gets interesting. There are 2 main ways. A consumer interface and a developer interface.
Two interfaces. What's the difference?
Think of it this way. The consumer interface is like going directly to the source.
Okay.
So it's your bank's website
Okay.
or their app where you can download your data.
Got it.
The developer interface is for third-party apps.
Okay.
Like if you want to use a budgeting app,
Right.
that connects to your bank account.
That's where the developer interface comes in.
Exactly.
Okay.
And here's the best part. You can't be charged a fee
No fees.
for accessing your data
Okay.
through either of those.
I like that. So, these developer interfaces, they're designed to be used by these third-party apps.
Right.
Are there rules about how they have to work?
Absolutely, yeah. The CFPB has set up requirements to make sure things run smoothly.
Okay.
First, the developer interface has to provide data in a standardized, machine-readable format.
Okay.
This allows all the apps and services to communicate,
Right.
exchange data, like a universal language.
Like everyone's speaking the same language.
Right,
yeah?
no compatibility issues.
Right, right.
And performance matters.
Oh,
Commercially reasonable performance, they call it.
right.
Basically, it needs to be fast, reliable,
Okay.
available when you need it.
So no waiting forever for things to load.
Exactly, yeah. And they're specific here.
Okay.
Response rate of at least 99.5% each month.
Wow.
So for every 1,000 requests, only 5 can fail.
Okay.
They even have guidelines for scheduled and unscheduled downtime
Okay.
to make sure that access isn't constantly being interrupted.
So they're really trying to make this a seamless experience.
Yeah.
What about security?
Oh, great question. And yeah, security is a top priority.
Okay.
One key requirement is separate credentials
Okay.
for consumer and developer interfaces.
Oh, okay.
So you can't use the same login info for both.
Okay.
Adds an extra layer of protection.
So even if, the third-party app gets compromised, my main bank login is still safe.
Exactly.
Right.
And on top of that, data providers are required to implement security programs
Okay.
to protect your data from unauthorized access.
Okay.
And they have to follow the guidelines set by either the Gramm-Leach-Bliley Act or the Federal Trade Commission,
Okay.
depending on the type of institution.
Okay, so that makes me feel better.
Yeah.
So we talked about how you can access your data, both directly and through third-party apps.
Right.
But what about the third-party apps themselves?
Right.
Like, what's stopping them from just, going crazy with your data once they have access to it?
That's where Subpart D of the rule comes in.
Okay.
It lays out the requirements for authorized third parties,
Okay.
meaning the companies you give permission to,
Right.
to access your data.
Okay.
And the CFPB is making sure that you are firmly in control when it comes to sharing your data.
Okay. I like that.
Yeah.
How does this authorization process work?
It starts with transparency.
Okay.
Before you can give a third-party access, they have to give you a clear authorization disclosure,
Okay.
like an informed consent form.
Mm-hmm.
Spells out exactly what you're agreeing to.
So no more, just clicking agree without really knowing what you're getting into.
Exactly.
Okay.
This has to include things like the names of both the third party and the data provider,
Okay.
a description of the product or service you're requesting,
Okay.
the types of data they're going to be accessing,
Okay.
and even the expected duration of data collection.
Wow. Okay. That's a lot.
It is, and it doesn't stop there.
Okay.
The third party also has to make a statement confirming they agree to the obligations
Okay.
that are outlined in the rule.
So they can't just take my data and use it for whatever they want.
No, not at all.
Okay.
The rule lays out limitations.
Okay.
The big one is they can only use your data for that specific product or service you authorize.
Right.
So no funny business.
Like no selling my data to advertisers or using it for targeted marketing.
You got it. The rule prohibits that.
Okay.
They also can't just hold on to your data indefinitely.
Oh, okay.
They have to stop collecting it after a year
Right.
unless you specifically reauthorize them.
So you're really in the driver's seat.
Yeah. You get to choose who has access, for how long, for what purpose.
Okay.
Yeah.
What if, you change your mind later on? Can you revoke access?
Absolutely. You have the right to revoke authorization at any time.
Okay.
And it can't be some complicated process.
Oh.
It has to be just as easy as the authorization process was.
So no jumping through hoops to get your data back.
Exactly.
Okay. But what about the third parties themselves? What's to stop them from sharing my data with someone else?
Right. Well, remember those obligations.
Hmm.
They're legally bound to only collect what's reasonably necessary for that service.
Okay.
And they can't just hand it off to anybody else without making sure those other parties are playing by the same rules.
So it's like a chain of responsibility, making sure it's protected every step of the way.
Exactly.
Okay.
And to add another layer, third parties that fall under certain definitions
Okay.
have to establish written policies and procedures for data retention.
Okay.
This keeps them accountable.
Yeah.
Make sure they're compliant.
So we've got rules for the data providers,
Hmm.
rules for the third parties, but what about the CFPB itself?
Right.
Like, how do they make sure that everyone is actually following these rules?
Well, they have a few tricks up their sleeve.
Okay.
They can conduct supervisory examinations,
Okay.
which are essentially audits
Okay.
to make sure they're complying.
So they can go in and check.
Yeah, they can review policies, procedures,
Oh, okay.
systems. They can even interview employees
Oh,
to make sure everything is above board.
okay. And what happens if they find that somebody isn't following the rules? Like, what are the consequences?
There are a range of enforcement options,
Okay.
from consent orders to fines. They can even take legal action.
Wow. Okay. So companies can't just ignore this and hope no one notices.
Right.
Okay.
They're making it clear that they're committed to protecting data rights.
Okay. So it sounds like they've thought this through.
Mm-hmm.
Rules for the data providers, rules for the third parties, and ways to enforce the rules.
Yeah,
It seems like a pretty good framework for giving consumers more control over their financial data.
I think so.
Yeah. And this rule isn't set in stone, right?
Oh, no. It's designed to be reviewed and adapted.
Okay.
The CFPB built in mechanisms for that
Okay.
because the world of technology is always changing.
Right.
So they need to be able to keep up.
So this is not a one-time fix, it's an ongoing process.
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay, that's good. That's reassuring.
Yeah.
Has there been any pushback against this rule?
Yeah, there has been some resistance.
Okay.
Some institutions have voiced concerns about the cost of implementing this rule,
Okay.
saying it requires a lot of investment in technology and compliance.
So not all smooth sailing.
No. Anytime you have a big shift, there's going to be some bumps.
Makes sense.
But the CFPB has acknowledged those concerns
Yeah.
and stressed their commitment to working with institutions
Okay.
to make sure that it happens smoothly.
Okay.
They also pointed out that a lot of institutions are already investing in data sharing capabilities, driven by consumer demand and market forces.
So it seems like the writing's on the wall. We're moving towards a world where consumers have more control over their financial data.
That's a fair assessment, yeah.
Okay.
And it's not just a U.S. thing either.
Oh, of course.
This shift towards consumer data rights is global.
Okay.
The EU, UK, Australia, they're all doing similar open banking frameworks.
So it's not just the CFPD, it's a worldwide movement.
It is.
Okay, that's pretty exciting.
Mm-hmm.
Are there any downsides to all of this?
Yeah, there are some risks to think about.
Okay.
One is that increased data sharing could increase the attack surface for bad actors.
Oh, wow.
So the more places your data is shared.
The more ways it could be compromised?
Right, yeah.
So that's why it's crucial for the data providers and the third parties to have those security measures in place.
Right.
And for consumers to be smart
Yeah.
about protecting their own data.
So it's shared responsibility, but it sounds like there are safeguards in place to, at least try to minimize those risks.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. Any other downsides we should be thinking about?
Well, another concern is data misuse.
Okay.
Even if it's unintentional,
Okay.
as more companies access and analyze your data,
Yeah.
there's always a chance it could be used in ways that you didn't anticipate
Okay.
or consent to.
So even if they're not trying to be malicious,
Mhm.
they could still make mistakes.
Right.
Okay.
And this highlights why it's important to understand your rights.
Yeah.
Read those disclosures carefully
Right.
and be picky about who you share your data with.
So it's not just about having access to your data. It's about knowing how to use it responsibly
Yeah.
and how to protect yourself.
Yeah. Knowledge is power. All right, we've covered a lot of ground in this first part. We've gone through, the basics of the CFPB's final rule,
Mm-hmm.
the types of data that are covered,
Right.
the security measures.
Yeah.
But I think it's important to remember that this is really just the foundation.
Right.
There's so much more to explore.
Absolutely. This is just scratching the surface
Yeah.
of what open banking could mean for consumers.
Yeah, and that's what we're going to talk about in the next part.
Yeah.
We're going to dive into those benefits, those future possibilities that this rule could really unlock.
Yeah, I'm excited for that.
Me too. This is where things get really, really interesting. We're talking a potential revolution in how we manage our finances.
Yeah,
So stay tuned, folks. It's about to get really good.
it is. Welcome back. Last time we dug into the nitty-gritty, the actual rule itself from the CFPB on open banking. Now I want to shift gears a little bit and talk about what all this means for you.
Yeah, so we know it gives us more control over our financial data. But what does that actually look like in our everyday lives? What are some benefits we can expect to see?
Well, imagine managing your finances was as easy as ordering takeout on your phone.
Oh, I like that. Okay.
That's the kind of potential we're talking about. Streamlining your financial life, making it easier to budget, to save, invest, even get better deals on loans.
Okay, that sounds pretty good, but give me some like real world example.
Okay. Let's start with budgeting. Imagine you connect all your accounts,
Mm-hmm.
bank accounts, credit cards, to a budgeting app.
Okay.
This app automatically categorizes your spending, tracks your goals, even alerts you when you're about to go over budget.
So no more entering everything manually into a spreadsheet.
Exactly. No more spreadsheets. And it goes beyond just tracking.
Okay.
Like, what if the app analyzed your spending and found areas where you could save money?
Oh, okay.
Maybe you're spending way too much on streaming services.
Yeah, that's it.
Or eating out more than you realize.
Yeah.
The app can help you cut back
Okay.
and free up more cash.
It's like a personal financial advisor in your pocket.
Right. And speaking of savings, open banking can make it easier to put money aside automatically.
Okay.
You could set it up so every paycheck, a portion goes straight into savings.
Right.
Or even round up your purchases, invest the spare change.
So it's about automating good habits.
Exactly. And let's not forget investing.
Right.
This opens up a whole world of opportunities.
Right.
Making it easier to build that diversified portfolio,
Mm-hmm.
matches your risk tolerance and your goals.
So instead of being intimidated by investing, I could use an app to get started.
Absolutely. And because they can access your data, these apps
Yeah.
can really tailor their recommendations.
Right.
They know your income, your expenses,
Yeah.
your investments.
It's a game changer for personal finance.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. What about loans? You said it could help us get better deals. How?
Well, think about it. Right now, lenders really only look at your credit score.
Right. To decide if you're worthy of a loan. But with open banking, lenders could get a much broader view of your financial health.
Okay.
Income, spending habits, saving patterns, even your bill payment history.
So they get a more complete picture, not just a single number.
Exactly. Huge advantage for borrowers. Imagine being able to show them you're responsible, even if your score isn't perfect.
Okay,
You
yeah.
have a steady income, you manage your money well, you pay your bills on time.
This could be really great for people who, maybe haven't had a chance to build a long credit history yet.
Absolutely. Or have been traditionally underserved by the system.
Yeah.
Open banking really has the potential to level that playing field, make financial services accessible and affordable for everyone.
I'm really starting to see the potential here. It's not just about convenience, it's about empowering people, creating a system that's fairer for everyone.
Absolutely. And it's not just personal finance.
Oh, okay.
Think about small businesses.
Okay, how can this help them? Imagine, like a platform that connects all the business's accounts.
Okay.
Their bank accounts, credit cards, their accounting software, payroll.
Yeah.
This platform could give them real-time insights, like into cash flow,
Go.
help them track expenses, even automate invoicing and payments.
So it's like having like a CFO
Right.
on demand.
On demand, exactly. And it can go beyond just daily management.
Okay.
Open banking could make it easier for small businesses to get funding.
Okay. How so?
Well, think about it. It's hard for small businesses to get loans because lenders often have a limited view,
Mm-hmm.
of their financial health. But with open banking,
Yeah.
they could access so much more.
Okay.
Real-time sales data, inventory levels, customer payment history
Wow.
gives a much clearer picture
Yeah.
of how stable they are, their growth potential.
So it's reducing risk for the lenders,
Mhm.
but also making it easier for, deserving businesses to get the money they need.
It is. It's a win-win. And that's just one example of how this can benefit the entire financial system.
Okay, this is all super exciting, but let's be real for a minute.
Okay.
Are there downsides to all of this? Like, are there challenges we might face as open banking becomes more common?
You're right. It's important to be aware of those. One of the big ones is data security.
Right, that makes sense.
As we share more data, we have to make sure it's protected
Yeah.
from cyber attacks, misuse.
Okay, so how do we do that? How do we mitigate that risk?
Well, it starts with strong security measures.
Okay.
Data providers, third parties, they need to invest in robust systems, follow those best practices for data protection.
Okay.
Consumers also need to do their part, choose trustworthy apps, use strong passwords, watch out for those phishing scams.
Right.
Be careful out there.
So it's a shared responsibility,
Mm-hmm.
but it sounds like there are some, safeguards in place
Right.
to at least try to minimize that risk.
Yeah, and as technology improves, security will get even better, too. Okay.
We're seeing new technologies already popping up,
Yeah.
like blockchain, AI. These can help with security and fraud prevention.
That's good. That's good to hear. What about data privacy?
Oh, that's a good one. How do we make sure our data is only used for what we say it can be used for
Right.
and not shared with, like, random companies?
Yeah, yeah.
That's a great question. The CFPB rule has strong protections for consumer privacy,
Okay.
but it's important for consumers to understand their rights and be in control of their data.
Right.
Read those disclosures. Choose apps you trust. Ask questions about how your data is being used. Don't be shy.
Yeah, so be informed,
Mhm.
be in control.
Exactly. And remember, you can always say no.
Right.
You can revoke access to your data if you're not happy.
I like that. What about the government? What's their role? Are they going to need like more rules and regulations to keep up with all the new technology?
That's a great question, and it's something policymakers are thinking about right now. The CFPB rule is a big first step.
Yeah, but we'll probably see more as things evolve.
Okay.
It's an ongoing process.
But it sounds like they're committed to staying on top of things.
Absolutely. And it's not just about regulations either. Consumer education is huge.
Mm.
People need to know what open banking is, how it works, how to benefit from it, and how to stay safe.
Yeah, and that's where we come in. Right. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Hopefully this deep dive is shedding some light on all of this.
And hope so.
Okay. Before we get to our final thoughts, I want to talk about innovation. We talked about all the great things open banking can do,
Yeah.
but what does the future hold? Like, what are some big innovations we can expect to see?
Oh, that's what I'm really excited about. We're already seeing all these new fintech companies popping up.
Yeah.
Open banking is only going to make it more exciting.
Give me some examples. What's on the horizon?
Imagine getting a loan in minutes, using your data to prove you're good for it instead of a credit score,
Okay.
or being able to manage all your finances, everything,
Right.
bank accounts, investments, insurance, retirement, all in one platform.
No more juggling different apps and websites.
Exactly. And it's more than just being convenient.
Mhm.
Open banking can help us make smarter decisions, automate our savings, our investments, even access things that weren't even possible before.
So putting the power back in the hands of consumers.
Absolutely. Open banking is about more than just data. It's about creating a fairer system, more transparent, more innovative. That benefits everyone.
I love it. Okay, this has been a great conversation.
Yeah.
But before we wrap things up completely, I want to bring it back to our listeners. What do you think about all of this?
Yeah. What are your thoughts on open banking? Are you excited about the potential or are you worried about security and privacy? We'd love to hear from you.
Share your thoughts in the comments,
Yeah.
and let's keep this conversation going. Wow, I'm really excited about the possibilities we just talked about. Open banking could really change how we think about and interact with our money.
Yeah, it really could. It's a pretty big shift and it puts you in control, you know? You're in the driver's seat. But like with any powerful tool, it's all about using it the right way.
Right, and that's what we've been talking about today, right? Breaking the CFPB rule down. We talked about your right to access your data, how it can and can't be used, all those security measures, and even the standard-setting bodies.
Mm-hmm. And don't forget, the CFPB is really involved. They're not just setting rules and then disappearing. They can enforce those rules to make sure companies are playing by the book and your data is really protected.
Yeah, it's a strong message, I think, about consumer rights in this digital world. Your data is valuable, and you deserve to have a say in how it's used. But it's not just about, rights, it's about opportunities too.
Exactly. Open banking, it's not just about, stopping bad things from happening. It's about opening up a whole world of new possibilities. Imagine, like, managing your money without any hassle, making better financial decisions, and maybe even having access to financial products that haven't even been invented yet.
It's pretty incredible to think about. But as we move into this new world, it's so important for all of us to stay informed and really pay attention. Don't just give your data away without thinking. Ask questions. Read the fine print and make sure you really understand how your data is being used.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. The more you know about your rights and the potential risks, the better prepared you'll be. It's a whole new world out there.
Well said. Okay, we covered a lot today, from the details of the rule itself to all the exciting possibilities of open banking and how it could change our lives.
It's been a great conversation. And I hope our listeners are feeling, like they can take control of their financial future.
I hope so too. But this isn't the end. Open banking's still developing, and we all need to stay curious and informed to help shape how it grows.
Keep asking questions, explore what's out there, and remember, you have the power to shape the future of finance.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into open banking. Until next time, keep learning and stay curious.